Okay, so tonight's project is to replace the battery in my Sega Dreamcast. Uh, yeah, if you turn your Dreamcast on and it prompts you for the time each time, yeah, maybe this will help. There's already a load of videos on how to do this on YouTube, but I take a slightly different approach. I have done this before on previous Dreamcasts that I've owned. So we'll have the Dreamcast here, we'll have the little Spectrum looking on, keeping a watchful eye. We'll have our coffee and our Sega mug, so let's get started. So if you're planning on doing this, you will need to use a rechargeable battery. I use these ML2032. You can also use, I think it's an ML2020. But you need to make sure that the battery is rechargeable. If you put a non-rechargeable battery in it, there's a chance it could explode and burn your house down, basically. So the reason that I use the 2032 is because I am installing a battery holder, and yep, that means that if the battery ever goes flat again, it's just a matter of popping the Dreamcast open, popping the battery out, and sticking the new one in. There'll be no more soldering involved once I install this. And like I said, I have done this before on a couple of previous Dreamcasts, so I'm just going to stick with my tried and tested method. So yeah, let's get the Dreamcast open and we'll proceed. So this Dreamcast, although it reads the discs perfectly, there is some sort of problem with the controller ports on it. If I wiggle the controller ports around, it will lose the controller and then come back. So I need to have a look at that while I'm at it. And I'm also going to lubricate all the gears in the laser assembly inside here while we're in here. So I'm not going to go into detail on taking this thing apart. Basically, I'm just showing you what I'm doing. It's not a tutorial. Alright, with the top of the Dreamcast, this is the replaceable battery here, and there's two legs soldered or welded to each side of these batteries. I have seen people just putting a normal rechargeable battery in and soldering wires to it. I do not recommend soldering wires to batteries because they have a tendency to explode when you heat them up too much. I can vouch for that from experience, as I have tried it myself. But I have seen you can actually buy these batteries with the legs already soldered to them. If you want to take that approach, you could just sort of solder and a direct replacement in. But like I said, I want to install a battery holder to basically future-proof the battery replacement. Okay, so I have the board with the battery on it removed. It incorporates the controller ports as well. So having a look there, I can't see any problem with the controller port. So the pins may just need a clean, possibly a retension if I can get at them. So we'll go ahead and unsolder this battery. As you can see the legs on it there, which are holding it down into the board. Okay, I have the battery unsoldered here. So there's two pins on one side and one pin on the other side. So the side with the two pins is the positive. So this battery is completely flat, even though it's rechargeable. It is only reading 0.13 of a volt. So it is completely dead. It is went through its total amount of cycles and can no longer be recharged. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of Vero board, and we're going to cut it to size to set our little battery holder in. Really, this is just an easy way to get the wires from here across into the board. Okay, so I have a bit of Vero board cut here. As you can see, it's slightly longer and slightly narrower than the battery holder. So we'll get that soldered onto the board first, and then we can concentrate on putting some wires from this across onto the board in Dreamcast. Okay, we'll go ahead and solder this in here. Hopefully I will be able to keep my fingers out of the way. That's always the hard part when you're recording. So this is the 3 points that the battery was originally soldered into. The single pin goes to ground, which is this large trace here, and the 2 pins on the other side go to your 3.5 volt. So these do not need to be connected together. They're already connected together with this trace. So really we only need to solder a positive wire to one of these points and then our negative wire to this point. Okay, so that's our wires soldered on there. If I can show you from above, of our negative here and our positive here. So that's it, ready to solder in. We just need to make our wires a bit shorter, obviously, because they're way too long at the minute. So just before I solder that in, I'm going to pop this board back into its position here and figure out exactly where I'm going to put the battery. Probably just right where it was. I just want to make sure it all fits and how long I need to make the wires. So yeah, just anywhere around there really would do. It's not in the way of anything. Okay, so that's the wires in. So what I want to do now is check continuity between the solder pads at the back here and the terminals of the battery holder just before I go any further. Okay. Okay, that's good. So that's a battery holder soldered into place. It is just hanging on the wires here. So when I put the battery in, the new battery, it's going to go curved side down or plus up the way. So it'll just be a matter of popping it in like that, and then if it ever goes down again, it's just a matter of popping it out and popping a new battery in, which is the whole point of this endeavour. Okay, so now that I'm finished with the battery for the most part, I'm going to turn my attention to the GD-ROM, and we're going to pop it open here and give it a good greasing. So to apply the grease, I've just taken a cotton bud and snipped the end off it. And I have my Vaseline here, so just put a drop on the end of this and get some round to get rid of the dog hair first. Bloody dog. Yeah, just put some grease around the cogs here, and this will not only prevent any major wear, but it will also keep the noise of the thing down, which is the main reason I'm doing it, because they're notoriously noisy, these drive units. And we'll put some along the worm drive here, and I also want to put a bit of grease along this rail at this side as well. You see, I usually just use Vaseline for these. That's what I've used on countless PlayStations, and usually anything electrical that needs greased, yeah, does the job, and it's readily available. There's always Vaseline in the house, and the less said about that the better. If I can turn this a little bit just to expose the other side of them and spread the grease around a bit more. You can use other types of grease on this, like lithium grease, that sort of stuff, but I find Vaseline works perfectly. Okay, so I have temporarily put it back together. I don't have any of the screws in, I've just thrown everything back in, just as a test, make sure it's all working before I go as far as screwing it back together. So I have it all wired up here, and I have my little test screen there. So we'll fire it up here and see what happens. So we'll set the date. See, that controller port is still acting up. I did actually sort of tried to clean the pins in it and retensioned them, moved them out a bit. So I'm not worried about the date just right now. Just hit select. Okay. And if I turn it off, it should remember the date. So if I turn it off and unplug it, and leave it for a minute or two. No idea if that's long enough, but there we go. Happy days. It's not asking for the date. So I will actually just excuse the dodgy camera work. Let's go into the settings here. And I don't actually know what date it is, to be honest. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll tell you that much. And it's 2015. And it's March. And just let me check my calendar here. Yeah, 26th of March. Okay. Little fan on that runs 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'll bring it back over here. Have it unplugged again. So we'll see if it remembers the date that I entered. And if that works, then we can throw it all together. 26th of the 3rd, 2015 and 3:03. Absolutely brilliant. So like I said, the whole point of doing this is to make it future proof. You know, if my battery goes down again at any stage, it's just a 5-minute job, pulling the top off the Dreamcast and changing out the battery. No more soldering. So yep, it's time to put this back together again. Hot glue my little battery holder down so that it doesn't cause any problems. Put all the screws back in. So there's the LED. It's not very bright. It is lit, as you can see, but yeah, I just don't think there's enough voltage to light the purple LED. But I'll leave it in for now. I'm hoping to have this thing apart again to do the VGA mod. So I'll just leave it for now. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.